Boy, the Pac-12. You know what? Let me start it off this way. I know there have been some rumors this week. A lot of you were hitting me up about them. And those rumors were we were just talking about Alabama, actually. The rumors were about who they're going to open up with. They're scheduled to face Southern Cal in Dallas in the first week of the season. So then there are some national types who say, nope, I'm hearing that's not going to happen. I'm hearing it's going to be Bama versus TCU. So I'm on the phone with someone directly involved in that decision-making process this week, and they're telling me, no, that stuff's pretty much made up. We have not settled anything. We fully plan on playing Southern Cal. And this was off the record. This was not some statement I was reading from a conference commissioner. Point being, no one has the slightest clue what's going on. One of the lost arts and lost skills in our industry is to know when to say, I don't know. You don't have to know everything. You don't have to pretend to. No one thinks you know everything. And even if you think you know everything, you don't know everything. So I will be honest with you enough, and you know I do this from time to time, to tell you, shrug of the shoulders, I have no clue what's going to happen here. But in a larger sense, I know the Pac-12 has got a mighty big decision to make. And there have been governors here and there have been dignitaries and local officials and whispers from conference commissioners and university presidents, but really it's like 9 different ways from Sunday. No one really knows what's going to happen. But when it comes to who's going to play who on the opening weekend, don't listen to any of that. There's no news to be had. There's no inside scoop to be had, because the guys who are responsible for making the decisions, they don't know. Here's what happens sometimes. It's like, imagine if I were talking to Colin and I were saying, man, I hate surprise birthday parties, and my cousin threw a surprise birthday party for me this past weekend, and man, I'm going to kill my cousin next time I see him. Let's say I said that to Colin, but you peeked your head around the corner and all you heard was me say, I'm going to kill my cousin. And you ran off and said, I think Pate's going to kill his cousin. Well, you would have technically heard me say that, but you would be totally wrong, and you would have missed the context entirely. That's largely how these rumors get started. Someone hears a fraction of a conversation, and then they take it and they run with it because they really want to be a source. There's nothing better. There's no better street cred than being one of those good old-fashioned sources in this industry. And of course, if someone's telling you, why not run with it? Because you got your source. You're not just making things up. So announcements about September and October in early May are stupid. I'll just tell you point blank, that's how I feel about it. And I've gotten some feedback from you guys. I know you're being intellectually honest with me when you say, I think the reason they're trying to make these announcements in May is so they can get a head start on all the moving pieces and getting all the things into place that need to be put into place. But I keep pressing you, and I'll still press you. What is it that you're accomplishing by making an announcement on May 10th or 11th that you couldn't also accomplish by making the announcement on June 11th or even July 11th? I still haven't gotten a straight answer on that. I've gotten very generic, very broad answers, which basically tells me I don't think you guys have thought that through nearly as much as I have, and I'm telling you no one has the ability to fully think it through. But the Pac-12, and I want you to hear me loud and clear on this, it's a very unenviable position to be in, and I'll grant you that. The Pac-12 will cease to exist as a conference, as you know it, if they don't have a football season this year. And there is no way around that. And I know the situation flat out sucks, but there are going to be some tough decisions being made here. But I want you to think far past just the financial impact, okay? This is a conference that's not already on equal footing. If this were the Big Ten or the SEC we were talking about, it'd still be a big deal. This conference is already sorely lagging behind the big boys. They're still labeled a Power 5, but in many of the blind financial metrics categories, they are not the equal of what you would consider the other Power 4, really the Power 2, and then the ACC, Big 12, and Pac-12. I want you to think about how rosters would be affected. Let's get past the money for a second. If I'm a junior and I'm in the Pac-12 and I'm planning on playing on Sundays, and all of a sudden I find out, hey, let's say I've graduated already. I'm a junior, I'm a senior. Let's say that I find out we're not going to have a season and they're going to play football in the ACC. Well, am I going to just count on my sophomore film carrying me to the league and then let my off-season workouts and combine do the talking for me all the way wrap it around a year from now? Or am I going to try and grad transfer my way onto a roster at Wake Forest last minute? I'm going to try to go to somewhere where they're actually going to play football. Think about how gutted the rosters could be on the younger end, the incoming kids, And on the back end, the juniors and the seniors who need, in some cases, their final year of football to really, really make it count. It's a college football player's contract year that you're taking away from them. Think about the coaches. How many coaches? Assistant and head coaches, player support, player personnel, analytics guys, all these sorts of folks that are integral that you don't necessarily always see on Saturdays that are going to sit around a year. Do they get paid? Do they not get paid? What in the world do the budgets look like on the other end? I'm going to get back to the budgetary constraints in just a second. How many guys are just going to sit out there, sit at home, instead of having these athletic departments with room to spare come and chomp them up, gobble them up? Does that happen? Do you know if it's happening? Is that a headline grabber? And what about the budgets here? I mean, it takes money. Money makes a conference go around just like it makes the world go around. Football operations, even if and when you come back, if you lose a season and you try and come back, your football operations budget is a fraction of what it was. Your recruiting budget, by and large, is a fraction of what it was. You cannot compete. You're already having trouble doing it. You cannot reasonably expect a conference to take a year off and then come back and compete. So I say all that to say this. I have no clue what's going to happen. We'll see. Those are the two quotes that need to be practiced early and often right now. Again, I don't wear my watch tonight, but I still look at my wrist out of habit. It is May. It is May 14th. After that comes June, and then July. And then it's the month where you start putting on some pads and practicing. Lots going to happen between now and then. Pac-12 is going to find a way to play football. You know how I know that? Because if you've ever seen the movie Armageddon, and they first find out that asteroid's headed towards Earth, and they ask about the impact, and they're saying, what are we talking about? Wiping out the eastern seaboard? Are we talking about, an inconvenience for some major cities for a couple of months? Well, no, it's a global killer. It's an extinction level event. Well, then all of a sudden you realize, obviously we can't have one of those. This is, in a lot of ways, an extinction level event for a major conference. If it can happen to the big boys, it can happen to anyone. So it, in and of itself, has a ripple effect throughout the sport. It is very much a shame that you have to deal with it, but you got to deal with it. And you better get the most creative minds and innovative minds in the room, all around the same table, lock them in there, and don't let them out until they have a feasible way that we can safely play football from coast to coast this fall.